Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into today's podcast. Today we're going to be talking about why recessions are a great time to make money. I know that sounds like counterintuitive comments because a recession is when the market is slowing down and people are losing money, but there are ways to take advantage of this situation. So let's start from the beginning. So during times of a recession, money is tight. Anybody that's holding on to assets or their holdings that can't support their debt load, or if they need the equity for other things, they're going to be forced to sell those assets. So how do we take advantage of that? Well, if you have equity or the ability to raise money from others, you can take advantage of a buyer's market where a seller needs, not wants, to sell. By doing that, you can probably get some really good deals in the market, but you gotta be able to stomach a little bit more risk than the average person. So what are the best ways to take advantage of this type of market? Well, let's break it down into preparing for a deal and then actually doing a deal. So preparing for a deal, there's probably three main things that I would recommend you do while preparing to make money in a down market. The first and most important thing is that ensure your personal finances are in order and that there's nothing that could force you to become an unwilling or an unwilling seller. Once you've done that, the next step is to organize your capital ahead of time, as most fire sales require you to act quickly. So if you're using your own capital, make sure it's liquid or readily available. And if you are pooling money from other people, make sure that you've had those conversations, you've come up with a strategy, and that you've ideally signed subscription documents so that when it's time to go out and put this capital to work, you have the ability to call on it quickly, because that might be the difference between getting the deal and losing it to somebody who is more prepared. And finally, I would say put yourself on mailing lists for receivers and bankruptcy lawyers so that you can be notified of opportunities as they come up when people are in distress. I know it's not nice to be talking about situations where somebody is facing hardship in their life, but as somebody who has been a distressed buyer and a distressed seller, I can tell you that it's situational, it's business, although it's emotional at the time. You got to take the good with the bad. You know, in your life, try to be a buyer of distressed real estate or distressed assets more than you are a seller, because that means you're selling at low points. Being on the list of people, like when you are going through that stage, if you're a distressed seller, you have to go through specific processes. You're either going to be trying to get out of something that you have a loan on, so the lenders are going to be involved and they may be trying to sell it on your behalf. Or worse than that, or worst case scenario, is that you filed for bankruptcy and there's been somebody appointed to handle your bankruptcy who is going to be putting on official sales processes. You want to be involved and you want to get to know those people and to let them know that you exist and that you have the ability to transact. That is what I would call the pre-acquisition preparation that you could do during a down market to make money in a recession. Now that you have prepared yourself financially, you've organized your capital, and you've marketed yourself as somebody who is prepared to buy distressed real estate and hopefully buy it quickly. Now you've seen a bunch of deals and you're trying to evaluate. The next and most important step of this entire process is that you need to be able to run your due diligence carefully and efficiently to ensure that you're covering off all your bases. In distressed sales, I find that there is an urgency, a rush. So when that rush happens, the expectation is the buyer moves quickly. For you to move quickly, you need to be able to make sure that you're evaluating the right things at an appropriate speed to satisfy the seller who's looking to get out of their asset or property in a timely manner. Most important piece of advice is make sure you're running your due diligence properly. Although you're in somewhat of a rush, don't be in so much of a rush that you make mistakes. It's important that you get these things right, especially if you're moving quickly. Second is don't try to time the absolute bottom of the recession or the downturn, because you may miss the opportunity. What I've seen in my life is people try to wait until it's come down and come back up to time their entry in. You never know when to stop. You know, like it's going to go down more, it's going to go up more. If you think that you have a good deal and it makes sense on paper, and it's something that you would not otherwise, that you couldn't have otherwise bought in an up market, then you know you have the makings of a good deal. It doesn't matter if you get it for 5 or 10% less. If you're doing good deals with high returns, it probably won't matter. So catching the bottom, the absolute bottom, is probably not that important, and it might slow you down from actually doing deals because you're always waiting for the next best one or the next one, and that you can do that forever. And then finally is actually pull the trigger. In a down market, there's always a reason to not do a deal. Most people are scared. There's panic in the market. So those with the stomach to say yes while everybody else says no will be the ones that get the sweetest deals. We want to make sure we're a part of that club. It's a scary thing, and it's going to require you to trust your gut and your analysis, especially you're going to seem like a bit of a contrarian because you're buying while everybody else is selling, but that's how you make money. You zig when everybody else zags, right? Especially if you think that you have inside information or you've run that analysis properly to ensure that you are making money. The most important part is these assets are probably being sold at their lowest points in recent history. So that's a great first step for you to launch your business or your investment on. So those are my tips on how to make money in a recession. I hope you found them helpful, and we'll see you next time.